All right, now let's bring in tonight's panel. Perth Mayor Basil Zempilas and Sky News contributor Joe Hildebrand. Welcome to you both.
Great to be here.
I want to get your feedback on both of those topics. Let's start with the Qantas scandal surrounding Anthony Albanese. Joe, these 22 upgrades that Albanese received from Alan Joyce, we're hearing that not all of them were political trips, some were family holidays. I mean, as many coalition MPs said today, this doesn't pass the pub test.
No, I think the best you can say about this is that it happened a long time ago. It's clearly not a good look. It comes obviously on the back of the more recent and actual in real time purchase of the house in Copacabana on the New South Wales Central Coast. So I think Albo has to be much more careful about how he presents. He's got to understand that when the country is doing it tough, he has to be seen to be doing it tough. He's got to wear a hair shirt on behalf of the country, even though he himself may be very happy and in a love bubble with Jodie, and that's fantastic and that's great, and I'm genuinely happy for him. But when people are suffering, it's just simply not a good look. Even if the amounts of money, or even if in the case of the house thing, it's completely immaterial. It doesn't affect the rest of us. But in politics, perception is everything. The good news is, in terms of the housing, I understand that the government is not going to touch negative gearing, and that is something real and tangible that we should all be, that homeowners should be grateful for, and renters as well, because it'll encourage investment. But for this stuff to come up is obviously not a good look, and hopefully the government and Albo will be able to put it behind them and move on to more substantial things.
I mean, as I said at the start there, Basil, this is an integrity issue. And we know that the Albanese government blocked Qatar Airways' bids for more flights to come into Australia. At the time, this would have lowered the airfares. They're at such an extraordinary high airfares at the moment. So there are questions of an integrity nature here for the Prime Minister to answer.
Well, by the actions of the Prime Minister, that's why we have those questions of integrity. And clearly that press conference with Joyce and the Prime Minister, one after the other speaking, it does look like a cosy relationship. And a couple of questions. I mean, it was an extraordinary amount of flying that the Prime Minister was doing, albeit all declared. Occasionally, I have had an upgrade, and good luck to anyone who gets an upgrade. We celebrate that person that gets called forward and gets bumped up the front. But it seems like the Prime Minister was getting one for every single flight that he was taking. That's not normal. The other thing is, did the Prime Minister's son deserve the Chairman's Lounge membership? Now, he may well have. He may have had enough going on in his own career that he deserved it. But I guess I'd say this as well. Just imagine it was one of Scott Morrison's children when he was Prime Minister, albeit a little younger. But imagine if it was Scott Morrison's child who had the Qantas Chairman's Lounge membership. Imagine what people would be saying then.
Exactly. And I don't think anyone at 22 years old could say that they have had a career that warrants a chairman's
Certainly
lounge.
the lounges I was in when I was 20 years old were very, very different to the chairman's lounge. They were much dingier and smokier and less hygienic.
I'm sure they were. Joe, but just quickly before we get to the Queensland election, I want to ask your thoughts on what I had to say about how the Iran nuclear threat does affect all of us around the world, and yet it's Israel who's having to deal with it at the moment.
Yeah, I can certainly understand why you would want to see some kind of, as much sort of precision as you can muster when it comes to, civilian casualties, be it in Gaza or in Lebanon, southern Lebanon. But going after Iranian military targets, I mean, that is just Luke Skywalker versus Darth Vader. That is the simplest moral decision anyone could possibly make. The fact that Israel is even able to do this is, as you said, just phenomenal. And the fact they're able to do this, to hit only military targets in Iran and come back out again. I mean, there is absolutely no possible good cause, no possible decent purpose that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard will ever be put to. They have been a despotic, theocratic fascist dictatorship ever since the 1979 revolution, and anything you can do to harm their power is a good thing for all of humankind. So I don't see how anyone could have moral qualms about it.
Exactly. All right, let's turn to the Queensland election results. And as you know, David Crisafulli has officially been sworn in as Queensland's Premier. Now, on Saturday night, we saw Stephen Miles claim that the LNP would struggle to form a majority. That's what he said. And yet, they've done just that. At the latest count, the LNP has won 51 seats to Labor's 33. And we're expecting LNP to get to 53 seats. So Labor lost 13 seats. This is not a good result. The Qantas will have 3 seats, Independents and Greens just 1. And at this point, 70% or around there of votes have been counted. Now, Basil, what do you make of this spin that the LNP didn't do so well, given they have won with a governing majority?
It was an unbelievable rewriting of history on the run, wasn't it? In fact, history hadn't even been written and it was being rewritten before we got there. Extraordinary from the Premier as he was at that moment, with a concession speech that forgot just one thing, and that was the concession. But,
yes.
but the really damning blow, I thought, was to not... Or to go with that information, which was clearly at worst in the balance, at best just a flat-out lie, to say they cannot form a majority government. Outrageous. Hold your speech until you know whether that is in play or not, or say we don't know with any certainty as yet. Tomorrow we might know. But look, this rewriting is incredible. They have an 18, 17, 16-seat majority over the Labor Party. That's a big victory in anybody's book. And I tell you what, I am running soon. If I got that sort of victory, that would do me every day of the week.
100%. And I've always said, I think we can end up seeing you as Premier one day, Basil, not just Lord Mayor.
Cheers,
but Joe,
Thank
you know,
you.
Stephen Miles seized the leadership from Anastasia Palaszczuk, claiming that he would have a better chance of winning. Yet, with this result, what do you think of that claim now?
Look, it's gone better than expected, but that doesn't tell you that it's gone well or that Chris Foley and the LNP have performed badly. That just tells you how dire the expectations was. They thought it was going to be a repeat of the famous Tarago, where you could sit, you know, the entire ALP caucus around the kitchen table, and it wasn't that. And maybe that's an exercise in really good management of expectations. But Stephen Miles, you know, okay, say he saved the furniture, all right, fine, no problem. Now he's got to get out of the way, allow the party an opportunity to reset and refresh. There is no way it's going to be competitive if you've still got him hanging around. It's clear that he is a handbrake on Labor's popularity. He's only there because he's got the backing of the left-wing union.
You think he should go now?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Really?
I think him staying on as opposition leader is an incredible
So you're not
narcissistic
buying
exercise
at
in
all
vanity.
that he ran a good campaign? You're just not
No,
buying
I think the campaign was better than the absolute, you know, disaster that it could have been, and that's fine. But having done that, for him to then stay on and say, no, I'm still going to keep the goodies, that is either incredibly naive or incredibly narcissistic. And for the sake of the party, for the good of the party, he needs to go, and he needs to go now and give another leader the chance to hit reset and try to bring the party back.
All right, Joe Hildebrand, Basil Zemplis, thank you both so much for your insights
Thanks so much,
tonight.
Sharri.